My name is Alisa Lykens. I'm with the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. The commission, we're commission staff, and we're here tonight with the Millennium Pipeline Company attending their open house that they invited us to for a new compressor station they're trying to site in the town of Hancock. And we're participating tonight to help explain the commission process, and we will be reviewing the site as well as the alternative sites that are proposed in this proceeding. We will be conducting an environmental analysis, which will produce an environmental document called an environmental assessment that will be issued ultimately for public comment.
Okay. And so FERC, my understanding is that FERC normally covers like interstate pipelines. It seems like the Millennium is all in New York. I mean, how does FERC get jurisdiction over this? And the other question is, does the local New York State government have any regulatory role in this project?
Well, the Millennium Pipeline Project, or pipeline company, is an interstate pipeline that is regulated by the Commission. However, in their system exists in New York State, but they also transport through their sister companies, the Columbia Pipeline, that cross interstate. So that is why.
So it's connected
they're
to
all connected to other interstate companies.
Network. That's
yes.
what. Okay. So then the other question is there any New York State regulatory? Is there any role for the maybe the Public Service Commission or for the DEC? Is there any role for these organizations in this project?
For the interstate pipelines themselves, the role at the state level is just usually with the permitting that's required, and the environmental permitting that for the Clean Water Act, the Clean Air Act, and Endangered Species Act. So the New York DEC, I believe, it would be involved, and also the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers would be involved with this project, and the Commission, of course, with the siting of the project, and all the other state agencies that are involved with vegetation, wildlife, those kinds of resources that are crossed.
So I know in New York there's a thing called a GEIS or an EIS. There's a New York EIS, but what you're saying is it's a federal EIS.
It'll be a federal environmental. Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And so what's the can you describe the regulatory phases of this project, and where are we right now in it?
Okay. Well, we are definitely in the beginning phase of this project. The Commission has what's called a pre-filing review, and we are very early. As a matter of fact, this open house is one of the requirements of our pre-filing review. The companies, we ask them to hold an open house, invite the general public, those affected by the proposal, to come in, and we ask that we be invited to come, and which we did. And we used this initial meeting to figure out how involved FERC needs to be. Do we need to come back out here and do a public scoping meeting, which I think we're going to do. We are going to have a public hearing of some kind in the near future. And then from there, we'll be issuing a notice of intent, announcing our intent to do an environmental assessment, inviting comments. And we are receiving comments tonight. People have been invited to give us written comments tonight, which we will put on our record for all the public to be able to access. So we are very early in the process. There will be several other opportunities to participate in the coming months. And the company has not yet filed a formal application with the Commission, but they will be planning on doing so in the next 4 to 6 months.
So there's multiple sites that, I've heard about this Hungry Hill site, but there's multiple possible sites.
That's correct.
So that hasn't been pinned down yet.
No, even the company said tonight that they have a preferred site, but it's not exactly where they really want to be, so they're still hunting down different properties in the area as well. So,
okay.
And that's perfectly fine in this pre-filing review process, because we want the community to be involved in the selection and give us their comments and concerns.
Well, that is my question too. I mean, does the community or does the local municipality have any jurisdiction over the siting of the facility, or is it just FERC?
Well, that's a good question. FERC does ultimately have the siting authority. However, we encourage the companies, especially those that already have a relationship in these counties because their pipeline crosses through there, to obviously work with the local governments, because it's in their favor to keep that stewardship going, that local stewardship going.
Gotcha. So what's the timeline of this project, and
All
where
right.
and where are we? I mean,
We
I'm not-
literally just issued a docket number for this project just a couple weeks ago. So we are just kicking off the commission's process,
the pre-filing.
the pre-filing.
And then what happens next, and then next? What's the...
All right, the next thing will probably, the FERC will announce the scoping meeting. We'll find a location and a time, issue that to our environmental mailing list, inviting everyone on to come out to speak. And then after that, the comment period will continue. We'll refine look through the comments that are being proposed. Meanwhile, the company on their end will be looking at the comments as well, refining their project, looking at the other sites that might be proposed for them to look at, and we'll be asking them more questions about the alternatives. And then ultimately, in the 4 to 6 months, there might be a site that's more preferred than that's presented right now, and that might be the location that they decide to apply for the formal application.
Okay. So, and then when do you imagine, if things kind of hit the marks, I mean, where are we in the process? I mean, when will the final permit, do you think, get issued, approximate
Well,
date?
it depends on when the Millennium files their application. Once they file a formal application, then our true process, the formal process begins. And then FERC that's when they will actually issue the EA.
Okay.
And formal comment period will be open with the EA and 30 days. And then after that period closes, it'll be brought up to the commission for a commission vote.
Okay. And how many members on the commission?
There are 5 acting members on the commission. There are 3 usually of any party and 2 of the other party, so there's always an independent amount. Yes.
And if these are appointees of the president?
The chairman's appointed by the president. The others are confirmed by the Senate.
Confirmed by the Senate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I mean, you mentioned an environmental impact. Is that the only kind of community assessment? Is there any kind of like maybe economic or socio impacts that are done for a facility like this?
Well, the socioeconomic impacts are considered part of the environmental. If an issue is raised, we will look at that a little harder in the EA. Other impacts, the other parts of the commission, I work in the Office of Energy Projects. Our role is to look at the environmental and engineering perspective of the project, but there are other parts of the commission that look at the markets, the tariff or rates of the proceeding, the customers at the other end who want the gas, to see if they're getting a fair cost for the gas. So there are other economic issues and factors within the proceeding and the application process besides the environment.
So this might be out of, tell me if this is outside your area of expertise or whatever, but is there any kind of, you mentioned, economics, does the local community or the state get any kind of revenue from something like, I mean, I guess the revenue from this facility, maybe there's tax, like property tax revenue, if that's outside your area.
It is outside my scope, but I do know that Millennium would, if they are building here and they have a presence here, they will be held to tax for the local community. They will pay taxes.
Is there anything you wanted to add?
No,
I mean, I'm kind
thank you for the opportunity to
Yeah.
let you know about
Okay.
our process.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. I appreciate it, Alicia.